Good morning, Councilmember Banks. Roll call. Councilmember Wynn,
Here.
Councilmember Brissett, Councilmember Glapion,
Here.
Councilmember Moreno,
Present.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Here.
Councilmember Banks,
Here.
Councilmember Giarrusso.
Good morning here.
We have 6 members. We have a quorum.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk, and good morning to everyone. It is March 25th. This is our full council meeting. We continue to come to you virtually for COVID safety reasons, but I do mention that currently working right now with our council chief of staff, Mr. Harang, to get us back in council chambers for the May meetings. So that certainly will be exciting to be back in chambers, and I'm working with Dr. Avegno, and we've also been working with the folks at Ochsner to make sure that we are able to lay out the council chamber in a way that is safe and still social distance, even when we get to the May meetings. But real quick, just so that everyone understands how we operate with these virtual meetings, what we're going to do is have the entire agenda for today read. And then once that is completed, we will take a 30-minute recess for public comment. You can log on to our website, which is council.nola.gov. Once again, that's council.nola.gov to submit public comments on any of the agenda items for today. So with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Teresa Beecher, and she will read the agenda.
Thank you, Councilmember. The agenda for the City Council for Thursday, March 25th, 2021. Page 2, Special Orders of Business. All special orders are temporarily postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The consent agenda. 1. Communication from Teresa R. Beecher, Council Research Officer, New Orleans City Council, submitting the recommended agenda items for deferrals for the March 25th, 2021 regular council meeting due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Page 3, number 2, communication from Aaron Spears, Chief of Staff in Council Utility Regulatory Office, submitting the transmittal document for communications related to electric and gas utility matters to be received by the Council of the City of New Orleans at its meeting on March 25th, 2021. Communication submitted by Entergy New Orleans, LLC, ENO. 1. New Orleans Small Cell Design Guidelines submitted by Jonathan Rhodes, Director, Mayor's Office of Utilities. 2. Letter requesting management audit of Entergy New Orleans, LLC, ENO, submitted by Energy Future New Orleans. 3. Fuel adjustments for the April billing cycle submitted by ENO. 4. Request to defer pension expenses submitted by ENO. 5. Objections to the advisor's first set of requests for information submitted by ENO, UD 2002. 3. Communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, transmitting the application documents for demolition permit requiring City Council review and approval for the following property: 2605 North Villery Street, 2100709 Demo, Council District C. Suggested hearing date set for 4/8/21. Page 4, number 4, communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, transmitting the application documents for demolition permit requiring City Council review and approval for the following property: 4215 South Claiborne Avenue, 2042954 Demo, Council District B. Suggested hearing date set for 4/8/21. Number 5, communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, transmitting the application documents for demolition permit requiring City Council review and approval for the following property: 4227 South Claiborne, 2042951 Demo, Council District B. Suggested hearing date 4/8/21. On page 5, number 6, communication from Craig Scott, PSG LLC, requesting to appeal the Historic District Landmarks Commission decision of a $10,000 fine for the deviation of the certificate of appropriateness for renovation for the property located at 6322 Annunciation Street. Suggested hearing date set for 4/8/21. The report is needed from HDLC. Number 7, report of the Executive Director of the City Planning Commission, transmitting zoning docket numbers 1421 for Councilmember Banks, 1521 for Councilmember Gissison Palmer, 2321 for Councilmember Gissison Palmer, 2421 for all council members, the council deadline being 5/24/21, and design review number 921 for Councilmember Banks with no deadline. Suggested hearing date is set for 4/8/21. On page 6, number 8, calendar number 33,249 by Councilmember Banks. An ordinance to amend and reordain Articles 10, 12, 15, 18, and 26 of ordinance number 4264 MCS, amended by ordinance number 26413 MCS as amended, the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans, to amend the definition of tattoo parlor and modify the definition of personal services establishment to include tattoo parlor, removing tattoo parlor as a separate use, to remove other references to tattoo parlor in the comprehensive zoning ordinance, and make other changes based on consistency with these text changes applying citywide and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Zoning docket 9320. Number 9, calendar number 33,250 by Councilmember Banks. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a standard restaurant in an HU B1 Historic Urban Neighborhood Business District, CPC Character Preservation Corridor Design Overlay District, and the Magazine Street Use Restriction Overlay District on Square 217, Lot D in the 6th Municipal District, bounded by Magazine Street, Louisiana Avenue, Toledano Street, and Camp Street, municipal address 3329 Magazine Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Zoning docket number 121. On page 7, number 10, calendar number 32,251 by Councilmember Banks. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages in a C2 General Commercial District, an HUC Historic Urban Corridor Use Restriction Overlay District, and the EC Enhancement Corridor Design Overlay District on Square 5, lots 37, 8, E, K, and 12 in the 6th Municipal District, bounded by South Claiborne Avenue, Delachaise Street, General Taylor Street, and South Derby Street, municipal address 3701 South Claiborne and 3000 Delachaise Street, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Zoning docket number 221. Number 11, calendar number 33,254 by Councilmembers Gissison, Palmer, Banks, and Jeruso. An ordinance to amend and reordain sections 8422 and 84132 of the Code of the City of New Orleans relative to applicable definitions regarding historic preservation to establish for properties within the jurisdiction of the New Orleans Historic District Landmarks Commission, HDLC, and the Central Business District Historic District Landmarks Commission, CBD HDLC, a revised definition of demolition and new definitions for exterior wall, obscuration, and primary facade, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. On page 8, number 12, calendar number 33,255 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal grant funds from intergovernmental transfers to the Fire Department for the Assistance to Firefighters Grant, AFG, the Fire Prevention and Safety Grant, and the FY19 Port Security Grant, PSGP, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. 13, calendar number 33,256 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal grant funds from intergovernmental transfers to the Fire Department for the Assistance to Firefighter Grant, AFG, the Fire Prevention and Safety Grant, and the FY19 Port Security Grant, PSPG, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. On page 9, number 14, calendar number 33,257 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2021 to transfer funds within the Department of Parks and Parkways budget from personal services to other operating towards the purchase of supplies and equipment, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. 15, calendar number 33,258 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the City of New Orleans for the year 2021 to transfer funds within the New Orleans Recreation Development Commission's budget from the other operating to personal services to properly fund personnel supported by millage funding and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. On page 10, number 16, calendar number 33,259 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the City of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate grant funds awarded by the Department of Health and Human Services to the Mosquito, Termite, and Rodent Control Board for the CDC Environmental Public Health and Emergency Response Grant Program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. 17, calendar number 33,260 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021, to appropriate grant funds awarded by the Department of Health and Human Services to the Mosquito, Termite, and Rodent Control Board for the CDC Environmental Public Health and Emergency Response Grant Program, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. On page 11, number 18, calendar number 33,261 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021, to appropriate federal grant funds awarded to the Department of Health by the Unity Safe at Home Rapid Rehousing Grant Program to provide rapid rehousing case management to homeless individuals and families, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. Number 19, calendar number 33,262 by Councilmember Brossette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021, to appropriate federal grant funds awarded to the Department of Health by the Unity Safe at Home Rapid Rehousing Grant Program to provide rapid rehousing case management to homeless individuals and families, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Budget Committee recommended approval. Page 12, number 20, motion number M2199 by Councilmembers Brossette, Moreno, Giarrusso, Wynn, and Gissison Palmer. Approving an amendment to the classified pay plan for a new classification in the Department of Public Works for a roads and drainage maintenance superintendent exempt, effective January 25th, 2021. Budget Committee recommended approval. Number 21, motion number M21100 by Councilmembers Brossette, Moreno, Giarrusso, Wynn, and Gissison Palmer. Approving an amendment to the classified pay plan for a salary increase for the New Orleans Police Department's Crime Laboratory Director, effective February 15th, 2021. Budget Committee recommended approval. On page 13, number 22, motion number M21101 by Councilmembers Brossette, Moreno, Giarrusso, Wynn, and Gissison Palmer. Authorizing the Council President to sign a contract amendment for 1-year extension with Posquay and Netterville and Luther Spite & Co., LLC, to perform the annual audits for fiscal year 2020, including the comprehensive annual financial report, the single audit, and the fire and the police pension system audits, and the employees retirement system audit, respectively. Budget Committee recommended approval. Number 23, motion number M21103 by Councilmember Brossette. Reappointing Leslie Harris to the Industrial Development Board, effective upon approval by the Council of the City of New Orleans, for a term ending on January 1st, 2025. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Page 14, number 24, motion number M21104 by Councilmembers Moreno, Clapian, Giarrusso, Banks, Gissison Palmer, Brossette, and Wynn. Reappointing Janet Hopeful as the Quality Assurance Review Advisory Committee for the Independent Police Monitor for a term ending on March 25th, 2022. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Number 25, motion number M21105 by Councilmember Brossette by request. Reappointing I.M. Tucker to the Industrial Development Board, effective upon approval by the Council of the City of New Orleans for a term ending on January 1st, 2026. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Number 26, motion number M21106 by Councilmember Wynn, appointing Eric Jones, Vice Eugene Green Jr., as a member of the Industrial Development Board, effective upon approval by the Council of the City of New Orleans for a term ending on January 1st, 2025. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Number 27, page 15, item 27, motion number M21105 by Councilmembers Moreno, Glapion, Giarrusso, Banks, Gissison Palmer, Brossette, and Wynn. Reappointing Harry Blumenthal as a member of the Quality Assurance Review Advisory Committee for the Office of the Inspector General for a term ending March 25th, 2022. Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Executive session. Pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 4216, 4217A2, the Council of the City of New Orleans may convene an executive session for the purpose of discussing the following litigation: The City of New Orleans versus 1031 Canal Street LLC et al., docket number 2020-7214, Division C, Section 10, Civil District Court for the Parish of Orleans, State of Louisiana. This item has been requested to be deferred to the meeting of 4/8/21. On page 16, the regular agenda. 1. Legislative grouping. 1A, demolition request of Daniel Catton, contractor on behalf of the owner, Charles Mendick, requesting a demolition permit for the following property: 1033 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. And 1B, motion number M21115 by Councilmember Banks, approving the demolition request for the property located at 1233 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. On page 7, number 2, demolition request of Roy Ferris Jr. A deferral has been requested of this item to the meeting of 4/8/21. Number 3, demolition request of Sean Killian on behalf of the owner Joseph Alois, requesting a demolition permit for the following property: 5217 South Derby Street. A deferral has been requested to the meeting of 4/8/21. On page 18, number 4, zoning docket number 321, City Council motion number M2040, 400, a deferral has been requested to the meeting of 4/8/21. On page 20, number 5, legislative grouping, 5A, zoning docket number 421, City Council motion M2401. A request has been made to withdraw this item. On page 21, 6, legislative grouping, 6A, zoning docket number 521, Renewal Homes 2, LLC, requesting a conditional use to permit a neighborhood commercial establishment in an HU RD2 historic urban 2-family residential district on square 279, Lot A, in the 4th Municipal District, bounded by Dryad Street, Toledano Street, Daniel Street, and Harmony Street, municipal addresses 3221 through 3225 Dryad Street, for the recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 7 provisos. This item is on deadline. 6B, motion number M21117 by Councilmember Banks, approving the favorable CPC recommendation, approving the conditional use, subject to the 7 provisos in the CPC report, with amendments to provisos number 6 and number 7, and the addition of 2 provisos for a total of 9 provisos, to read as follows. Proviso 6. In accordance with Article 20, Section 20.3.NN of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, the hours of operation shall be limited to between 8 a.m. through 6 p.m. 7 days a week. Number 7, the neighborhood commercial establishment is limited to office use. Proviso 8, on page 22, the developer shall provide 2 off-street parking spaces for the commercial space. Proviso 9, no short-term rentals are permitted at the property. Number 7, zoning docket number 921, Trinity Church. A deferral has been requested of this item to the meeting of 4/28/21. Page 23, zoning docket number 1121, Nicole Weber. A deferral has been requested for this item to the meeting of 4/8/21. On page 24, number 9, legislative grouping, 9A, zoning docket number 1221 by Sam Smith Jr., requesting a conditional use to permit a bar and live entertainment, secondary use, in an HUMU historic urban neighborhood mixed-use district, a GC Green Corridor Design Overlay District, and an EC Enhancement Corridor Design Overlay District, and an AC1 Arts and Cultural Diversity Overlay District on Square 360, Lot 3A, in the 2nd Municipal District, bounded by North Broad Street, Lafitte Street, Toulouse Street, and North White Street. Municipal addresses 601 through 615 North Broad Street, 2701 through 2707 Lafitte Street, and 2716 Toulouse Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 9 provisos. And 9B, motion number M21108 by Councilmember Giarrusso, approving CPC's favorable recommendation of zoning docket 1221, subject to the 9 provisos recommended in the City Planning Report. On page 25, number 10, legislative grouping, 10A, zoning docket number 1321, 634 Orange Street, LLC. Requesting a conditional use to permit the retail sale of packaged alcoholic beverages in an MU2 high-intensity mixed-use district on Square 82, lots 82C1, in the 1st Municipal District, bounded by Orange Street, St. Thomas Street, Religious Street, and Richard Street. Municipal address 634 Orange Street, Suite A. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 2 provisos. And 10B, motion number M21-118 by Councilmember Banks, approving the conditional use subject to the 2 provisos as provided in the city planning report, with the addition of 6 provisos for a total of 8 provisos. Proviso 3, signage advertising the sale of alcoholic beverages shall not be visible from the public right-of-way. 4, the applicant shall provide to the City Planning Commission staff a litter abatement program letter approved by the Department of Sanitation, inclusive of the stated location of trash storage, the type and quality of trash receptacles, and clearing of all litter from the sidewalks and periodic hosing of the street right-of-way. The name and phone number of the owner-operator of the development shall be included in this letter to be kept on file in case of any violation. In no case shall trash be stored so that it is visible from the public right-of-way. 5, the sale of alcoholic beverages shall be restricted to those for consumption off premises only. Page 26, number 6, the consumption of alcoholic beverages and loitering in the front of the structure or the adjacent rights-of-way shall be prohibited. 7, the single serve of alcoholic beverages, including but not limited to any alcoholic beverage packaged or sold individually as a single serving, as well as bottles or containers of wine or distilled spirits less than 750 milliliters, shall be prohibited. 8, hours of operation shall be limited to 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. We have received a request to defer this item to the meeting of 4/8/21. Number 11, zoning docket number 1621, City Council motion M2450. This item has been requested to be deferred to the meeting of 4/8/21. On page 27, number 12, legislative grouping. 12A, zoning docket number 1821, Pleasant Zion Missionary Baptist Church, requesting an affordable housing plan development in an HU RD2 historic urban 2-family residential district on square 441, lots 24 through 33, bounded by South Johnson Street, 4th Street, Momus Court, and South Galvez Street, municipal addresses 2701 South Johnson Street and 3400 4th Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 1 exception and 8 provisos. And 12B, motion number M21-119 by Councilmember Banks, approving the favorable CPC recommendation, approving the affordable housing plan development, subject to the 1 exception and 7 provisos in the CPC report, with the following amendments to Proviso 2. 2B, the development shall contain at least 10% of units up to 60% area median income level with additional affordability as provided in Proviso 2F. Proviso 2F. The obligation to provide and maintain a specified amount of affordable housing in a development shall run with the planned development designation contained for such site for not less than 99 years, and as follows. 1, 10% of units up to the 60% area median income level for not less than 99 years. 2, 20% of units up to the 60% area median income level for not less than 60 years. 3, 30% of units up to the 60% area median income level for not less than 30 years. And 4, 40% of units up to the 60% area median income level for not less than 10 years. Number 13, zoning docket number 2121, Kenneth C. Jackson, Melanie A. Panina, Dominique Guzman, and Jamie Spears. A request has been received to defer this item to 4/8/21. Excuse me. On page 29, number 14, zoning docket number 2221, Platinum Holding Group LLC. A deferral has been requested to the meeting of 4/8/21 for this item. Number 15, calendar number 32,593 by Councilmember Moreno. A withdrawal has been requested of this item. On page 30, number 16, calendar number 33,147 by Councilmembers Williams and Gissison Palmer. A deferral has been requested of this item to the meeting of 4/22/21 and referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. 17, calendar number 33,246 by Councilmember Gissison Palmer. A deferral has been requested of this item to the meeting of 5/6/21. On page 31, number 18, calendar number 33,247 by Councilmember Gissison Palmer. A deferral has been requested to the meeting of 5/6/21. Number 19, calendar number 33,252 by Councilmember Gissison Palmer by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans through a notarial act of donation and acceptance and dedication of streets to accept the donation of and to dedicate as public portions of former Bienville Street, North Villery Street, Murray Street, and Tremay Street, owned by the Housing Authority of New Orleans, HANO, located in the 2nd Municipal District of the City of New Orleans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Page 33, number 20, calendar number 33,264 by Councilmember Gustafson Palmer by request. An ordinance to amend and reordain Division 2 of Article 11 of Chapter 154 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to transfer functions from the Department of Safety and Permits to the Department of Public Works and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Number 21, calendar number 33,266 by Councilmember Nguyen. An ordinance to temporarily waive certain fees, permit fees, and requirements at the Joe W. Brown Park Victory Tract, 5601 Reed Boulevard, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70127, in conjunction with the events with the 6th Annual Carver Classic Track Meet hosted by George Washington Carver High School to take place March 6, 2021, from 9 a.m. through 4 p.m., to specify the duration and boundaries of said waiver and to provide otherwise with respect thereto. On page 33, number 22, motion lying over number M2326 by Councilmember Giarrusso. This item has been requested to be withdrawn. Number 23, motion lying over number M2190 by Councilmember Moreno. A motion to amend the New Orleans City Council's rules to add Rule 55 regarding the City Council's vehicle policy. We received a request to defer this item to the council meeting of 4/8/21. On page 34, number 24, legislative grouping 24A, resolution lying over number R2192 by Councilmembers Gustafson, Palmer, and Nguyen has requested to be withdrawn. And 24B, substitute resolution number R2192 by Councilmember Gustafson, Palmer. A resolution to support federal and global action to address disproportionate health outcomes in communities of color and to take action to preserve our local environment and economy by opposing the construction of the Formosa plastics in any industrial or petrochemical plant that significantly adds to the existing toxic emissions in Cancer Alley. We have received a request to defer this item to the meeting of 4/8/21. Number 25, motion number M21102 by Councilmember Giarrusso. A motion directing City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans and the corresponding zoning base maps of the City of New Orleans to amend Article 18, overlay districts, to establish a new overlay district named the University Area Off-Street Parking Overlay District, the intent of which is to require off-street vehicular parking for any increase in the number of existing bedrooms for all properties located within the area generally bounded by Cecil Street, a straight line connecting Cecil Street to Monticello Avenue, Monticello Avenue to Leek Avenue to River Drive, to Riverview Drive, to East Drive, to Chapatula Street, turning north on Nashville Avenue, turning west on South Claiborne Avenue, connecting to South Carrollton Avenue, turning east on Tulane Avenue / Airline Highway, connecting to Palmetto Street, to Northline Street, to Monticello Street, and back to Cecil Street. Number 26, resolution number R21109 by Councilmembers Moreno, Glapion, Giarrusso, Banks, and Brasset. A resolution to establish rule-making proceedings to establish renewable portfolio standards with all parties having 30 days to submit comments on 1, the removal of CCS and CCUS technologies on generating resources and beneficial electrification as eligible methods for compliance with RCPS, and 2, the revised tier system. On page 36, number 27, resolution number R21110 by Councilmember Brasset. A resolution calling a special election in the Seabrook Neighborhood Improvement and Security District for Saturday, October 9th, 2021. Number 28, motion number M21111 by Councilmembers Brasset, Moreno, Glapion, Giarrusso, Banks, Gustafson, Palmer, and Nguyen. A motion appointing Yul Britton Shai to serve as the Council Fiscal Officer for the City Council. Number 29, motion number M21112 by Councilmember Nguyen. A motion directing the City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans, to consider text amendments to the use, permissions, and standards for child care centers in the SRS and SRD residential zoning districts, which are currently not permitted by right or via conditional use. On page 37, number 30, motion number M21113 by Councilmembers Giarrusso, Banks, Gustafson, Palmer, Brasset, Nguyen, and Moreno. A motion directing City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans to amend Article 4, applications and approvals, to modify the Neighborhood Participation Program, NPP, requirements therein, to authorize teleconferencing, virtual, or other remote meeting formats to satisfy NPP requirements during a declared emergency by the governor or mayor, when in-person meetings are not an available option. This item is set to be heard at 1 o'clock today. Number 31, resolution number R21-114 by Councilmember Banks. A resolution urging the New Orleans Police Department to designate clearly marked safe exchange zones in public areas at district stations that will offer residents a reasonably safe and public area to conduct legal, private transactions from online marketplaces or internet purchases. This item will be heard at noon. Number 32, ordinances on first reading. Those are all the matters on today's agenda.
Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that. All right, I'm going to go to Council Vice President Galapion for a point of personal privilege. But before I do that, I just want to announce that we're going to begin the public comment period, which is a 30-minute period for public comment. It is exactly 10:30. So that public comment will end at 11. Once Council Vice President Galapion is done with her personal privilege, we will recess until 11 a.m. So with that, Council Vice President, I turn it over to you.
Madam President, thank you for this point of personal privilege. I see Dr. Perot is here with us this morning. As we close out National Women's History Month, we just want to take some time this morning to honor one of our treasures. She is Dr. Dorothy Jacques Perot. She earned her bachelor's degree in nursing from Dillard University in 1960. After graduation, Dr. Perot began her nursing career at Sarah Mayo Hospital in New Orleans, where she was hired as the first Black registered nurse. Facing the challenges of segregation, Dr. Perot ascended the ranks and used her leadership post as charge nurse to be an agent of change in her profession, instituting the first waiting room for Black families in the obstetrics unit. Dr. Perot continued blazing trails throughout her nursing career, holding a number of leadership roles and becoming the first Black registered nurse promoted to nursing 4, which is a supervisory level. Dr. Perot oversaw the integration of Charity Hospital's 65 outpatient clinics as their first Black registered nurse, also becoming the first Black president of the Federation of Registered Professional and Licensed Practical Nurses of Charity Hospital at New Orleans. Dr. Perot served as president and CEO for a network of child care centers throughout the New Orleans metropolitan area for over 40 years, built together with her husband, Harry. Perot Kitty College, established in 1972, was the first licensed youth program in New Orleans to expand to conventional child care, setting a standard for early childhood programs. Dr. Perot's impact was felt across sectors where she played critical roles in the operation and creation of community development, finance, and political organizations and boards. She and her husband built and personally operated Perot Plaza, the first minority-owned $1 million complex of its kind in the greater New Orleans area that included an array of businesses. She's been married to Harry J. Perot Jr. for 61 years and is the mother of 3, the late Mr. Harry J. Perot III, Mrs. Troy Lynn Perot Stahl, and Mrs. Sabrina Perot Brown. These are but a few highlights from a lifetime serving children and families here in New Orleans. Ms. Perot is indeed a treasure, and it is our pleasure to honor her here today as we close out National Women's History Month. So welcome, Dr. Perot. We are happy to have you with us today, and to honor you in this way, we're going to present you with a proclamation signed by everyone on this body, and we thank you for your lifetime of service. Would you, do you have a few words you'd like to say to us this morning, Dr. Perot?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank the approval of the City Council with a special thank you to Council Lady at Large, Donna Glaplion. I should cherish this honor, and I guess I'm somewhat lost for words. but it is something that I will hold in very high esteem. Again, I thank you for your endorsement, and I admire all of you for the work that you're doing to progress our great city of New Orleans.
Madam President, do you have some words?
Thank you so much, Madam Vice President. Well, Dr. Peralt, I too want to echo, just thank you so much for your lifetime of service and also for being such a tremendous role model as well. Tremendous role model really for women throughout our community. You have been an absolute trailblazer. And I just wanted to echo what the Council Vice President said, to just thank you and commend you for all that you have done throughout your life. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Banks, I know you have something to say.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Ms. Peralt, I just wanted to say thank you and how much I personally appreciate the work that you have done. It has been my mantra since I've been here that we will never arrest our way out of crime. We got to stop creating criminals, and that begins with education. And it begins with education at the earliest age. All of our children deserve the opportunity to have an early childhood education. I am so grateful for you understanding that way before it got to be in vogue. So what you all have done for generations, I know is paying dividends, and I'm hoping that we can move the ball further down the road and continue your legacy by ensuring that we get every child, every single child, into an early childhood education program. So again, thank you for everything. Best wishes and God bless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Perot, for joining us here this morning. We appreciate your service. Madam President, I yield the floor back.
Thank you, Council Vice President. And so we appreciate you being with us, Dr. Peralt. All right, members, with that, we will take a recess for public comment. That recess will end at 11 a.m. See you back then. All right, everyone, it is 11 o'clock. So Madam Clerk, if you are ready, please help us reestablish a quorum with a roll call.
Roll call. Councilmember Wynn,
Here.
Councilmember Brissette, Councilmember Glapion.
Here.
Okay, Councilmember Brissette, I got you. Councilmember Glapion,
Present.
Councilmember Moreno,
Present.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Present.
Councilmember Banks,
Here.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Here.
We have 7 members. We have a quorum. We're now going to start on page 2. Special orders of business. All special orders are temporarily postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Consent agenda. We have a communication from Teresa R. Beecher, Council Research Officer, New Orleans City Council. This should be marked received. On top of page 3, we have a communication from Aaron Spears, Chief of Staff and Council Utilities Regulatory Office. This should be marked received. We have a communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, 2605 North Villeray Street. This should be marked received. Suggested hearing date is April the 8th. On top of page 4, we have a communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, 4215 South Claiborne Avenue. This should be marked received. Suggested hearing date is April the 8th. We have a communication from Cynthia Davis, Department of Safety and Permits, City of New Orleans, 4227 South Claiborne Avenue. This should be marked received. Suggested hearing date is April the 8th. We're now on top of page 5. We have a communication from Craig Scott, PSG, LLC, 6322 Annunciation Street. This should be marked received. The suggested hearing date is set for April the 8th. The report is needed from HDLC. We have a report of the Executive Director of the City Planning Commission. This should be marked received. Suggested hearing date is April the 8th. We're now on top of page 6. Ordinance calendar number 33,249 by Councilmember Banks, zoning docket 9320. Ordinance calendar number 33,250 by Councilmember Banks, 3329 Magazine Street, zoning docket 121. On top of page 7, we have ordinance calendar number 32,251 by Councilmember Banks, 3701 South Claiborne Avenue, 3000 Delachey Street, zoning docket 221. We have ordinance calendar number 33,254 by Councilmembers Gissison Palmer, Banks, and Jeruso. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We're on top of page 8. We have ordinance calendar number 33,255 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. Ordinance calendar number 33,256 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. We're now on top of page 9. Ordinance calendar number 33,257 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. Ordinance calendar number 33,258 by Councilmember Brissette. The Budget Committee recommended approval. On top of page 10, ordinance calendar number 33,259 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. Ordinance calendar number 33,260 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. On top of page 11, ordinance calendar number 33,261 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. Ordinance calendar number 33,262 by Councilmember Brissette by request. The Budget Committee recommended approval. We on top of page 12, we have motion M2199 by Councilmembers Brissette, Moreno, Jeruso, Wynn, and Gisselson Palmer, Roads and Drainage Maintenance Superintendent. This should be more, the Budget Committee recommended approval. We have motion M21-100 by Council Members Brissette, Moreno, Jeruso, Wynn, and Gisselson Palmer, Crime Laboratory Director. The Budget Committee recommended approval. On top of page 13, we have motion M21-101 by Council Members Brissette, Moreno, Jeruso, Wynn, and Gisselson Palmer. The Budget Committee recommended approval. We have motion M21-103 by Council Member Brissette. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We're now on top of page 14. We have motion M21-104 by Council Members Moreno, Glapion, Jeruso, Banks, Gisselson, Palmer, Brissette, and Wynn. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M21-105 by Council Member Brissette by request. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We have motion M21-106 by Council Member Wynn. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. We're now on top of page 15. We have motion M21-107 by Council Members Moreno, Glapion, Jeruso, Banks, Gisselson, Palmer, Brissette, and Wynn. The Governmental Affairs Committee recommended approval. Council Member, those are all the items on the consent agenda.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Members, can I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Jeruso. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Second.
Seconded by, I think that was Council Vice President Glapion. Madam Clerk?
Yes, you have to, do we have any comments, Teresa?
No, and actually, given the deferred items, we have no public comments until item 25.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wynn,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and the consent agenda is adopted. The executive session will be deferred until April the 8th. We're now on top of page 16. Land use matters. All land use are scheduled to commence at 11 a.m. or thereafter. All public comments on land use items are subject to the City Council Rule 10.1B, where each land use matter is limited to a maximum public comment period of 20 minutes, with speakers being limited to 2 minutes per item. No ceding of public speaking time is permitted. Legislative grouping, a demolition request of Daniel Catan, contractor on behalf of the owner, Charles Metnick, requesting a demolition permit for the following property, 1233 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. We have motion M21-115 by Councilmember Banks, approving the demolition request for the property located at 1233 Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, I'm going to move for approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Folks, this is to demolish a building that has been vacant for a while. It is on O.C. Haley. It has been used in multiple iterations as a truck rental place, as a parts place, and for the last several years, it's been vacant. It has no significant architectural significance or value, and not a bad thing to get it to a point where we can put it into something of more use. So with that, I would ask your support, and Madam Clerk, if you would, roll call.
Councilmember Wynn,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays, and the motion has been adopted. We're now on top of page 17, all matters. Demolition request of Roy Farris Jr. has been deferred to April 8th. The demolition request of Sean Killian on behalf of the owner, Joseph Alus is deferred to April the 8th. On top of page 18, zoning docket 321 has been deferred to April 8th. On top of page 20, both the zoning docket I gotta get my numbers, I'm sorry. Zoning, the legislative grouping, the zoning docket 421 has been withdrawn. Motion M21-116 has been withdrawn.
So ordered.
Thank you. We are on top of page 21. We have a legislative grouping, zoning docket 521, Renewal Homes 2 LLC, requesting a conditional use to permit a neighborhood commercial establishment in an HU RD2 historic urban two-family residential district on square 279, Lot A in the 4th Municipal District, bounded by Dryads Street, Toledano Street, Daniel Street, and Harmony Street. Municipal addresses 3221 through 3225 Dryads Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 7 provisos. We have motion M21-117 by Councilmember Banks, approving the favorable CPC recommendation, approving the conditional use subject to the 7 provisos in the CPC report with amendments to provisos number 6 and 7, and the addition of 2 provisos for a total of 9 provisos to read as follows. In accordance with Article 20, Section 20.3.NN of the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, the hours of operation shall be limited to between 8 a.m. through 6 p.m., 7 days a week. Number 7, the neighborhood commercial establishment is limited to office use. On top of page 21, they have things that are deleted. Number 8, the developer shall provide 2 off-street parking spaces for the commercial space. And number 9, no short-term rentals are permitted at the property.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mm-hmm.
I think we got Stephen for this one.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you, Council Member. This is a conditional use application affecting a historic mixed-use building on Dryads at Toledano. Historically, the structure was kind of your quintessential neighborhood commercial building with a commercial unit on the first floor and upper floor residential units. Hasn't been used commercially in many years, but the current owner wants to reintroduce it to commercial use as office space. Rather than changing the zoning to commercial zoning, they're electing to pursue the most restrictive way of doing this, which is a conditional use for neighborhood commercial establishment classification in the residential district. Given the property's history of commercial use, it's eligible for this classification, and the Planning Commission is supportive and recommends approval subject to 7 provisos. I'll note that the neighborhood commercial establishment designation allows a range of different commercial uses, including office space, but also coffee shop, art gallery, things like that. And so the modifications you're making, Councilmember Banks, would narrow this in on just office space. So the Planning Commission recommendation is again approval with 7 provisos.
Thank you, Stephen. Colleagues, I move for approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguyen. This has to be one of the strangest zoning issues that we've had to deal with. Now, on the face of this does not look to be very controversial, but I'm going to tell you, we had a neighborhood meeting with the developer and the neighbors, and to be politically correct, it was quite contentious. But we fervently believe that quality of life is of the utmost importance for folks that live in neighborhoods, but we also believe that having small neighborhood commercial businesses inside of neighborhoods that residents can benefit from is also very, very good to have. So we worked very intentionally trying to get to the sweet spot, which in this one was not necessarily easy. But I think that we've got a workable compromise. I think we've got something that everybody can live with. And we're hopeful that that you all will join me in supporting this. The idea that neighborhoods should be a priority for the people that live there, I fervently believe, even though I know that the developer and some others may not agree with me, but we've got to make sure that whatever we put in neighborhoods does not diminish the quality of life for the people that have to be there every day. And while this city is for all of us, and a neighborhood is comprised of more than people just living there, the truth of the matter is the people that live there, they have to be there. And the folks that come in for the commercial opportunities can leave, but the people that live there have to be there. And we've got to be intentional on making sure that all those needs are met. So with that, colleagues, I would ask your approval, and Madam Clerk, if you would please a roll call.
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays. The motion has been adopted. At the bottom of page 22, zoning docket 921 has been deferred to April the 8th. On top of page 23, zoning docket 1121 has been deferred to April 8th. On top of page 24, zoning docket, a legislative grouping, zoning docket 1221, Sam Smith Jr., requesting a conditional use to permit a bar and live entertainment secondary use in an HUMU historic urban neighborhood mixed-use district of GC Greenway Corridor Design Overlay District, an EC Enhanced Corridor Design Overlay District, and an AC1 Arts and Cultural Diversity Overlay District on Square 360, Lot 3A in the 2nd Municipal District, bounded by North Broad Street, Lafitte Street, Toulouse Street, and North White Street. Municipal addresses 601 through 615 North Broad Street, 2701 through 2707 Lafitte Street, and 2716 Toulouse Street. The recommendation of the City Plan Commission being for approval, subject to 9 provisos. We have motion M21-108 by Councilmember Jeruso, approving CPC's favorable recommendation of zoning docket 1221, subject to the 9 provisos recommended in the city planning report.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to approve, please? I'll move to approve. Second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Banks. Stephen, would you mind reporting for us, please?
Sure, thank you, Councilmember. This is an application to use an existing building on Broad and Lafitte as a jazz bar. So the zoning entitlement is both use as a bar, and along with that, the ability to do live entertainment. And it's the intention of the developers really to provide a venue for jazz performance and listening, really as part of an effort to keep that part of the city's culture and its culture economy going strong. And so the proposal is to renovate the building, construct a new parking area to the rear, and use it in that fashion. This really furthers the goals of the zoning district. Notably, this property is within an AC1 arts and cultural overlay that extends along Broad and is really intended to keep Broad as a destination for these sorts of performance and cultural uses. It's also situated near the Greenway, and so promotes and enhances the activity occurring along the Greenway. So the Planning Commission really could not be more supportive of this. And the Planning Commission recommends approval subject to 9 provisos, which are standard provisos largely around site and building design.
Thanks, Mr. Kroll, for the thorough report. And I would just add, I have gotten no comments negatively or otherwise about this project. So with no opposition, I feel comfortable moving forward, particularly given the circumstances described by CPC. Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and the motion has been adopted. We're
Thank
now
you.
on, you're welcome. We're now on top of page 25, legislative grouping, all matters. Zoning docket 1321 has been deferred to April the 8th. Motion M21-118 has been deferred to April the 8th. At the bottom of page 26, zoning docket 1621 has been deferred to April the 8th. On top of page 27, legislative grouping, zoning docket 1821, Pleasant Zion Missionary Baptist Church, requesting an affordable housing plan development in an HU RD2 historic urban two-family residential district on square 441, lots 24 through 33, bounded by South Johnson Street, Fort Street, Momus Street, and South Galvez Street. Municipal addresses: 2701 South Johnson Street and 3400 4th Street. The recommendation of the City Planning Commission being for approval, subject to 1 exception and 8 provisos. We have motion M21-119 by Councilmember Banks, approving the favorable CPC recommendation, approving the affordable housing plan development, subject to the 1 exception and 7 provisos in the CPC report, with the following amendment to proviso 2. 2B, the development shall contain at least 10% of units up to the 60% area medium income level with additional affordability as provided in proviso 2F. 2F, the obligation to provide and maintain a specified amount of affordable housing in a development shall run with planned development designation containing such site for not less than 99 years, and as follows. Number I, 10% of units up to the 60% area medium income level for not less than 99 years. Number 2, 20% of units up to the 60% area medium income level for not less than 60 years. Number 3, 30% of units up to 60% area medium income level for not less than 30 years. And number 4, 40% of units up to the 60% area medium income level for not less than 10 years.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Stephen, if you would, please, sir.
Good. Thank you, Council Member. This is a proposal to redevelop a vacant 15,000 square foot site in Central City on South Johnson with 10 new doubles, which will provide 20 residential units in total. This is a site that historically was developed with 10 doubles, but those were later demolished and the site was eventually used by a church. And so the proposal is really to sort of reestablish the historic residential development of the site. It's coming through the plan development process because the density level is slightly higher than is otherwise allowed under the zoning. But the affordable housing plan development mechanism provides the council with the ability to grant exception to allow that increased density level. What the city gets in return for that enhanced level of density is units that are long-term affordable. And so some of the units will be required to be affordable for 99 years. Council Member, your office has determined that additional units should also be affordable for varying amounts of time. So really what the city gets is new construction that fills a void in the streetscape, as well as the benefit of affordable housing units. And so the commission, of course, is very supportive of that and recommends approval with 1 exception and 8 provisos.
Thank you, Stephen. I'll move for approval. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmer. Folks, this is a development that proves that the affordable housing plan development that created actually works. This is a very, very good thing that shows that we can be intentional about affordable housing. And we did include the requirements in the provisos because we like to do provisos, I guess. But at the end of the day, the developers were very, very, very supportive of helping us get to this. We cannot lose sight of the fact that we have a housing crisis. We cannot lose sight of the fact that we need to make sure that the people that make this city work and move can live here. And it's about making sure that working families have the opportunity to raise their families here in this city. So I'm very excited about this. We hope to be able to continue many, many, many more of these. This by no means is the end, hopefully just the beginning, but it's a win all the way around because the property that these houses are going on is probably not in the best condition that it could be at this point, but getting families in there and working families in there, I think is a win across the board. So I'm sorry, Councilmember Palmer, please.
I just want to thank you, Councilmember Banks. I think you're 100% right. It was this council that passed to allow these types of planned developments in vacant lots. As you know, it used to be only with existing structures and buildings, and this has allowed more input from communities and neighborhoods and to really help bring back their neighborhoods, but in a thoughtful, affordable way. So I just want to thank you for that. I know it also takes a little bit more time from a district office to work through a planned development, but as we showed with Hannah Mazant, it does create a better development. And so thank you very much for this.
Thank you. Any other colleagues? If not, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette.
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion.
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno.
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer.
Yay.
Councilmember Banks.
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays, and the motion has been adopted.
And Madam Clerk, indulge me just for 1 second before you go on. I neglected to point out in my talking that the affordable plan required that they have 57 units. We've actually got 100 units in this. And that is a really, really big deal that we are being intentional about trying to make these affordable housing opportunities real. So I didn't want to close without having that as a part of the record. So with that, thank you, ma'am.
At the bottom of the page 28, zoning docket 2121 has been deferred to April 8th. On top of page 29, zoning docket 2221 has been deferred to April 8th. Ordinance calendar number 32,593 has been withdrawn.
So ordered.
On top of page 30, all matters, ordinance calendar number 33,147 has been deferred to April 22nd and has been referred to the Governmental Affairs Committee. At the bottom of the page, ordinance calendar number 33,246 has been deferred to May 6th. On top of page 31, ordinance calendar number 33,247 has been deferred to May 6th. At the bottom of the page, ordinance calendar number 33,252 by Councilmember Gissison Palmer by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans through a notarial act of donation and acceptance and dedication of streets to accept the donation of and to dedicate as public portions of former Bienville Street, North Villeray Street, Murray Street, and Treme Street owned by Housing Authority of New Orleans, HANO, located in the 2nd Municipal District of the city of New Orleans, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you so much. Council members, this is an ordinance to authorize the mayor to accept the donation of and to rededicate the streets surrounding the Bienville Basin at the former Iberville Housing Complex. This is for portions of Bienville Street, North Villeray Street, Murray Street, and Treme Street. HANO currently owns the streets, which were previously closed off as super blocks. And in response to best practice around the country, the blocks have been opened up to be normal city streets and activated. This ordinance will also transfer the streets back to the city. I also would like to note this redevelopment of Iberville happened back in my first term, and it was really done with an inclusive process with the residents. And this was also in response to what the residents of the Iberville wanted. They wanted to be integrated into the surrounding community. They wanted their original streetscape back. And this goes to a lot towards that end goal. So I just want to thank Hannah for that. This is probably the final step in the overall development of the Iberville site. And we just are very proud of that development. We want to thank both Hanno and the residents for creating such a thoughtful process. So with that, do I have a motion? I move. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Nguyen. Ms. Laura?
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays. The ordinance has been adopted. On
Thank you.
top of page 32, ordinance calendar number 33,264 by Councilmember Gissison Palmer by request. An ordinance to amend and reordain Division 2 of Article 9 of Chapter 154 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to transfer functions of the department. That's Article 11, I'm sorry. Of Chapter 154 of the Code of the City of New Orleans to transfer functions of the Department of Safety and Permits to the Department of Public Works and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Thank you so much. I move for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguyen. Council members, some of you will remember we heard aspects of this plan at the Transportation Committee hearing on February 24th. This is an ordinance to transfer the Motor Vehicle Inspection Bureau from Safety and Permits to the Department of Public Works. This ordinance is a continuation of the transfer of the Ground Transportation Bureau from Safety and Permits to DPW. The ordinance simply strikes references to safety and permits and inserts the Department of Public Works in this existing section of the city code. Transfer of GTB would be complete after this is approved. This will add to the existing enforcement team that already exists in DPW to give greater enforcement to the Ground Transportation Bureau rules and ordinances. We're all super excited about this. I think it's very forward-thinking with the administration, and it's going to allow greater enforcement 24/7 as opposed to just regular working hours. So I think this is going to be great for the citizens of New Orleans. So with that, Ms. Laura, do we have any public comment?
No, not till number 25.
Okay, thank you. Taking a vote, please.
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
I'm a yay.
7 yeas, no nays. Ordinance has been adopted. At the bottom of the page, ordinance calendar number 33,266 by Councilmember Nguyen. An ordinance to temporarily waive certain fees, permit fees, and requirements at the Joe W. Brown Park Victory Track, 5601 Reed Boulevard, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70127, in conjunction with events with the 6th Annual Carver Classic track meet hosted by George Washington Carver High School to take place March 6, 2021 from 9 a.m. through 4 p.m. to specify the duration and boundaries of said waiver and to provide otherwise with respect thereto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, I'd like to move for approval on this ordinance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Brissette. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays. The ordinance has been adopted. We're now on top of page 33. Motion line over M2326 has been withdrawn.
So ordered.
Motion line over M2190 has been deferred to April the 8th. On top of page 34, we have legislative group and resolution line over R2192 has been withdrawn.
Ordered.
We have substitute resolution R2192 has been deferred to April 8th. At the bottom of the page, motion M21-102 by Councilmember Jeruso. A motion directing City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans and the corresponding zoning-based maps of the City of New Orleans to amend Article 18 overlay districts to establish a new overlay district named the University Area Off-Street Parking Overlay, the intent of which is to require off-street vehicular parking for any increase in the number of existing bedrooms for all properties located in the area generally bounded by Cecil Street, a straight line connecting Cecil Street to Monticello Avenue, Monticello Avenue to Leak Avenue to River Drive, to Riverview Drive, to East Drive, to Chapatoulas Street, turning north on Nashville Avenue, turning west on South Claiborne Avenue, connecting to South Carrollton Avenue, turning east on Tulane Avenue, Airline Highway, connecting to Palmetto Street, to North Line Street, to Monticello, to Cecil Street.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, this is a continuation of the discussion we've been having on what's known as doubles to dormitories. And now we're moving on from the IZD to the study phase for design overlay. As everybody knows in this area, families, working adults, longtime residents, and students have all lived among each other, next to each other in this area for years. But recently, developers are transforming single and double homes into student dormitories. And what happens as a result of that? Dorms increase the rental rates because more people are being pushed into there, and also decrease affordability. We're also transforming property, as we were seeing, and those conversions permanently alter the bones of these homes. Moreover, they prevent certain students and certainly families from later occupying those. And it's really only marketable as student housing, not as housing for all residents. In addition, obviously, when you jam more people into smaller spaces, particularly in some of these areas, that already stresses delicate infrastructure, but you're paying the same sewer, water, and other fees that may be attributable to this. In addition, many students bring vehicles, overcrowding already packed streets. So what does the study motion ask for? It asks for a request that makes permanent our university area off-street parking IZD, which will require one off-street parking space for each additional bedroom. It also requests for homeowners in that area that city planning, law, and council staff examine a homestead exemption to give full-time residents a reprieve from this requirement, because that's not who this is about. Another significant change that we've asked CPC to consider in all of this is, remember, the IZD covered this complete territory, and that included both residential, mixed use, and commercial areas. Using short-term rentals, though, as a template here, we still have a limitation in residential districts to do something less in mixed use or commercial areas. Commercial and multifamily districts are appropriate for denser and student-centric developments. The zoning allows for them anyway, and it also allows students to live near among commercial and transportation hubs. Obviously, I know this is the start of a process and continued work. To be clear, we're doing this because I don't believe parking enforcement, which was the initial suggestion, will solve this problem. And moreover, I don't think suggesting that the universities buy more land in this area to house students is necessarily the answer either. I'd like to point out two other things. One, that my Carrollton neighborhood organizations have been actively working to bring affordable housing to Hano properties, and Carrollton United in particular has been doing that, and I appreciate their work with Iris and also the help from the city to help us get backstairs into those properties where they weren't there before. In addition, I want to announce this, which is fresh off the press's news. One of the development groups, Amicus, has agreed of their own volition to develop only in the mixed use or the commercially zoned areas. They realize that challenging where these regulations are headed and trying to do it in residential areas is not a good business model for them. So with that, I move for approval. May I have a second, please?
Second, sir.
Second by Councilmember Banks. I know we have some public comment.
Yes, Councilmember, we have 4. The first
you.
is from Ruben Teague. I am opposed to the proposed overlay requiring 1 off-street parking space per additional bedroom. This concept is bad public policy for several reasons. 1, it will increase the cost of housing in New Orleans by making it difficult, if not impossible, to increase the housing supply across much of Uptown, which is one of the city's most desirable areas. The effect will be to make it more difficult for low-income individuals to afford to live uptown. 2, it privileges cars and car owners over all others and makes space for cars a civic priority ahead of housing, which is the opposite of sound policy. New Orleans is a city of people, not a city of cars. 3, by privileging cars and car owners, the proposed overlay would only increase our reliance on and use of individual cars as a means of transportation, which results in wear to our roads, expensive to repair and maintain, and output of additional CO2, which warms our planet and hastens the disappearance of Southeast Louisiana. 4, it is proposed as a response to the concerns of a small number of homeowners living near Tulane who are unhappy about the presence of student housing, but the zoning change proposed would impact a huge area of Uptown, far from these neighbors and their parking concerns. Had an ordinance requiring 1 parking space per bedroom been in place for the prior 150 years, the vast majority of the houses in the overlay district could not have been built. Instead, Uptown would be much less walkable, an interesting neighborhood with fewer residents and massive driveways. Please reject this proposed overlay and do not burden the CPC with the task of holding a hearing on it to satisfy a small number of noisy NIMBYs. Nathan Schwam, please pass this expansion of the overlay. SP Johnson, to Councilmember Giarrusso and the esteemed council. Thank you for understanding that it is not only the so-called university area in the immediate neighborhood of Tulane and Loyola that is in need of help against private student housing development, but the greater Carrollton and points east. And thank you for taking the time in the form of this motion M21102 and the zoning amendment to which it will eventually lead, the university area off-street parking overlay. However, we all know that laws are worth little without enforcement. With the enactment of the IZD on March 5th, 2020, private student housing developers responded to its stringent requirements, a new off-street parking space for every new bedroom, by making, quote, creative changes to their plans. So architects like Seth Weltley for Amicus of New York City and Loretta Harmon for locals John Hamady and Preston Tedesco have used fake labels for new bedrooms in the camelbacks that they are attaching to our old shotguns. A more recent strategy is to create oversized bedrooms, labeled bedrooms, that will be partitioned into smaller rooms, all for a bigger return on their investment. These developments do not create affordable housing. They create private dormitories for affluent college students. In the meantime, the Department of Safety and Permits approves everything. It is then up to individual neighbors to track down the progress of the developments, studying the architect's plans for hidden bedrooms, composing lengthy zoning verifications requests, appearing before the zoning board, and hiring lawyers at their own expense to fight the developers in court. The media, like Greg Rouse of WDSU, David Hammer of WWL, and Catherine Hart of Uptown Messenger, are taking note. So who is minding the store at Safety and Permits? Who? We neighbors and citizens demand accountability. It's not enough to make laws, the city must enforce them. SP Johnson, Town of Carrollton Watch, LLC, www.townofcarrolltonwatch.org. And the last comment is from Betty DeMarco. Please support Councilmember Giarrusso's motion to request a study by the City Planning Commission to establish a new overlay district called the University Area Off-Street Parking Overlay, the intent of which is to require off-street parking for any increase in the number of existing bedrooms with a certain area of Carrollton Uptown. The neighborhoods in the desired area are already dense and parking is becoming an issue. Those are all the comments on this item.
Thank you, Teresa. And I should have mentioned in my earlier discussion as well, part of the study motion is also about what the definition of a bedroom is to try and work on that as well. Members, does anybody have any comments rather on the study motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Wynn,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette, Councilmember
Yay,
Glapion.
yay, yay.
I got you. Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays, and the motion has been adopted.
I'm a yay too, Madam. I knew you knew it because I moved, but you got me. I appreciate you. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
You're welcome. We have on page 35 at the bottom of the page, Resolution R21-109 by Council Members Moreno, Glapion, Jeruso, Banks, and Brissette. A resolution to establish rulemaking proceedings to establish renewable portfolio standards, with all parties having 30 days to submit comments on 1, the removal of CCS and CCUS technologies on generating resources and beneficial electrification as eligible methods for compliance with the RCPS, and number 2, the revised tier system.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Well, members, this has to do with RCPS. We've been working really diligently on the rule process. My Chief of Staff, Andrew Trozzolo, and our Curo, Aaron Spears. So just so everyone remembers, RCPS is a Renewable and Clean Portfolio Standard, which is the instrument that's going to end carbon emissions from Entergy New Orleans power generation by 2050 and achieving net zero emissions in 2040. So all we're doing here is just extending the public comment period from the intervening parties, just so that we continue to work through this rule process and make sure that everyone's engaged and that are trying to meet, everyone's needs and make sure that we've got the best rules possible for this RCPS. So all we're doing is extending this this period by 30 days. So with that, I'll make a motion to approve. Can I get?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Jeruso. Is there any public comment?
Yes, ma'am. There is one public comment from Monique Hardin, noting that she is a paid representative for Deep South Center for Environmental Justice, The comment is, the Deep South Center for Environmental Justice urges the City Council to move forward with making New Orleans a 100% renewable energy city by 2040. This is not only possible, but urgently needed to protect neighborhoods from pollution from power plants, respond to the climate crisis, and give relief to residents who are paying sky-high bills for dirty and hazardous energy. We are disappointed that the well-paid advisors to the City Council joined with Energy to throw in provisions that undermine an effective renewable energy standard. Fortunately, Council Resolution number 21-109 deletes these deeply flawed provisions and gives interveners time for comment. The Deep South Center for Environmental Justice supports these fixes that are in the resolution. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Ms. Beecher. So with that, Madam Clerk, can you take a roll, please?
Councilmember Wynn,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette, Councilmember Glapion.
Yes.
Okay, Councilmember Brissette. Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and the resolution has been adopted. We're now on top of page 35. We have Resolution R21-110 by Councilmember Brissette, a resolution calling a special election in the Seabrook Neighborhood Improvement and Security District for Saturday, October 9, 2021.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This resolution is an election to renew the parcel fee for the Seabrook Neighborhood Improvement and Security District. The Security District is seeking an annual parcel fee of $200 for improved parcels within boundaries, with some exceptions for property owners meeting certain criteria. The boundaries of the Seabrook Security District from Fillmore Avenue to Leon T. Simon and St. Roch Avenue to Peoples Avenue. Seabrook voters will have the opportunity to renew or reject the parcel fee on October 9th. I would move approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, Councilmember, we have one from Leonard McCollum Jr. My name is Leonard McCollum Jr. I am the president of Seabrook Neighborhood Improvement and Security District. Why do I think passing this resolution is so important? First, for security, which allows armed patrols to canvass our community. Our neighborhood doesn't see NOPD until something bad happens. Therefore, with an armed and trained patrol service, we are more safer than without the service. Second, the security district tax fee provides funds for beautification and overall betterment. Seabrook is a beautiful and safer place to live, and this passing of Resolution R21-110 by our City Council and then our voters, Seabrook will continue this service as we started back in 2011. Thank you. That's the only comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Please
Councilmember
vote.
Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays. The resolution is adopted. We have motion M21-111 by Council Members Brissette, Moreno, Glapion, Jeruso, Banks, Gissison Palmer, and Nguyen. A motion appointing you, Britton Shy, to serve as the council fiscal officer for the City Council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, this motion appoints Mr. Hugh Britton, you'll be shy as our next council's fiscal officer. This was a very tough decision, and I would like to thank all of the talented applicants who submitted applications to Council Fiscal. Mr. Shy brings over a decade of hands-on experience with the city's budget and in various departments, from civil service to finance and the CAO's office. His prior experience in the chief administrative office as both a budget consultant and analyst will be a direct asset for the city council. And as a member of this body and chair of the budget committee, I joined my colleagues, and I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Shy as we work towards financial recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And so with that, I'll open it up for comments, and I believe Mr. Shy is on the line.
Good morning, Council. How are you
Good
today?
morning. Good morning, Mr. Shy. Yeah, it's still morning, 11:52.
Just made it.
Would you like to make any comments?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I just want to say that I'm honored to have this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I really look forward to learning new things, right? And interacting with each and every one of you and the members of the staff. As a lifelong learner, I really believe in trying to expand my skill set and just kind of be a better value to the city. The legislative side of government, you know, I've worked on the other side a long time. So I'm just excited to try to just really see what the nuances are and the details. Because I'm one of those folks, the devil is in the details. So I just look forward to rolling up my sleeves and getting to work with each and every one of you. So thank you. I just want to say thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Shy. Colleagues?
Councilmember Brusek, I have a quick comment.
Yes. Hey, Councilmember Moreno.
Thank you, Councilmember Brusek. Mr. Shy, welcome to council side of things. We had really some tremendous applicants submit their names for this position, but you know, I found your application to be really expertise, and not to mention that your work in the CAO's office has really been exemplary. I've found your presentations to the council to be incredibly thorough, and you're also someone who is able to explain things very well. Some budget items can be complicated for us council members and to the members of the public as well. So the fact that you can like really hone down issues, be able to plainly explain them and really relay the specific impact that it has on the city budget and also on the people of the city. I think it's really important. So congratulations. I'm hoping that the appointment hasn't gone through quite yet, but if it does, congratulations, Mr. Shai, and welcome to the council staff.
Thank you, Council President. Anybody else, colleagues?
Councilmember Brissette.
Councilmember Palmer.
Thank you so much. Mr. Shai, I just want to welcome you on board. I'm super excited to be working with you. I've actually always been very impressed with your work product. I think that your experience is going to do this council very well, especially with your experience with the budget and working in the CAO's office. So I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on. I was excited to see your resume. And I'm also really excited about your energy. I think you bring a lot of energy to the job and to this council, and you have genuine enthusiasm for numbers, and that's something that's often cannot be qualified. So I just want to thank you so much for putting yourself out there, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Palmer. Hearing nobody else, I would move forward with a motion to approve.
Second.
Seconded by Council President Moreno. Any public comments?
No, Councilmember.
Thank you.
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays. The motion has been adopted.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Congratulations, Mr. Shai, and welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'll see you guys soon.
At the bottom of the page, we have motion M21-112 by Councilmember Nguyen. A motion directing City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans to consider text amendments to use permissions and standards for child care centers in the SRS and the SRD residential zoning districts, which are currently not permitted by right or via conditional use.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Colleagues, as we all know, childcare is really critical as we rebuild our city. And my office has been contacted by several childcare advocates and providers seeking for locations. And many of our commercial areas that used to have a childcare center has lost its non-conforming use. So we're asking the CPC to conduct a public hearing to explore if child care should be a permitted use, right, or via conditional use in S-RS- and S-RD. I think it's great to have child care facility in residential area, but before any decision is made, we want to make sure we hear from the public. So I do ask that you support this study. So I'd like to move on motion 21-112. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Jeruso. Any public comment?
No, we don't have.
Thank you.
No.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Councilmember Nguyen,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays, and the motion has been adopted. We're now going to go to page 37 at the bottom of the page. We have-
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
Madam Clerk, I know we're supposed to wait till 1 o'clock. I think if it's okay and the attorneys tell us we're all right, we can go in order. I just, there's no reason to delay the meeting anymore. If that's okay. Are we on good sound footing to proceed with item 30?
Oh.
Given that public comment has closed and it closed at 11 o'clock, I don't perceive a problem with proceeding just in the ordinary course of the agenda.
Okay, but we're gonna do number 31 first, because that one is supposed to come up at noon and it is now noon. Is that okay? Okay. We have at the bottom of the page, Resolution R21-114 by Councilmember Banks. A resolution urging the New Orleans Police Department to designate clearly marked safe exchange zones in public areas at district stations that will offer residents a reasonably safe and public area to conduct legal private transactions from online marketplaces or internet purchases.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'm going to move to approve this. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, colleagues. This is in response to the horror and the tragedy that took place a few weeks ago out in Jefferson Parish when a young man tragically lost his life senselessly in a internet transaction. We were initially hoping to do this at that next meeting, which I think was the day after the tragedy, but decided not to. We needed to make sure that we worked in conjunction with the police department to make sure that we had something that didn't put undue pressure or put something unworkable on them. So we delayed it until today's meeting to make sure that we did have the proper input from the police department. And I see that joining us is the superintendent. And if you all indulge us, Chief, if you would, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Council Member. Yes, Council Member Banks, thank you for this partnership and this opportunity of once again being able to serve our community in a better manner. This is very important that we're able to do this, and this creates a safe environment for our citizens to conduct their internet transactions in a safe manner. It reduces the opportunity for any crimes to occur or any criminal activity to occur, or them being victimized in itself. What we are envisioning, or what we worked on, we have identified a location at districts 2 through district 7 on site within our parking lots for our citizens or whomever to conduct these transactions. We have not been able to establish a location at the 1st and the 8th as of yet because they do not have any on-site parking at either of these districts. So we are going to try to inquire, look into some sort of viable options for those particular locations as well. But districts 2 through 7, we have identified those locations, and we're in the process of getting our signage together so that we can move forward with this immediately. So again, thank you for this opportunity, and we will do our due diligence in ensuring that safe haven or that safe environment for our citizens.
Chief, thank you. Colleagues, any comments?
Yeah, one quick comment, Jay, Councilmember Banks. Thank you for this, and thank you, Chief, for moving so quickly on this. It certainly was a terrible tragedy with what happened with that young man. And when I saw, over in Jefferson Parish, what they were doing with these safe zones, so glad that we're now going to be doing the same. So, Councilmember Banks, if it's okay, I'd like to be added to your resolution.
Absolutely.
Councilmember, could you please add me as well? I just want to thank you for bringing this up. It's very important. Thank you.
Absolutely. Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
It's taken care of.
All right. And before we call for the vote, I have to, I also want to point out that this safe haven will not just be for internet transactions. If you've got something contentious, sometimes child custody exchanges get to be problematic. Yes. This can be used for that also. So this will have multiple benefits. And again, this tragedy is what brought this to light. And I'm very sorry for that young man's family, and actually sorry for the young man's family of the perpetrator, because his life is ruined and theirs is too. So this whole senselessness is just horrible. And I'm hoping that some way we can come to an end to that. And I hope that this helps us to alleviate that. I have to point out, though, that one of my constituents, Ms. Venus Masakowski, who has been very, very, very intentional on contacting us and suggesting things that we need to be involved in and doing. And Venus has worked very closely with us. As a matter of fact, she brought this to me and was very instrumental in helping me to confect it. So Venus, I want to say on the record publicly, thank you to you. So with that, Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Yay. Can you add me
Councilmember.
to the resolution too, Madam Clerk?
Okay, I got you.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Councilmember Brissette.
Yes, please add me too, Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Glapion.
Please add me as well, yes.
Okay. Councilmember Moreno.
Yay.
Councilmember Gissison Palmer.
Yay.
Councilmember Banks.
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
7 yeas, no nays, and the resolution has been adopted.
Thank you.
We'll now go to the top of the page. Motion M21-113 by Council Members Jeruso, Banks, Gissison Palmer, Brissette, Nguyen, and Moreno. A motion directing City Planning Commission to hold a public hearing to consider amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance of the City of New Orleans to amend Article 4 applications and approvals to modify the Neighborhood Participation Program, NPP, requirements therein to authorize teleconferencing, virtual, or other remote meeting formats to satisfy NPP requirements during a declared emergency by the governor or mayor when in-person meetings are not available option.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. First, I want to say thank you to all my colleagues who joined me in this motion. And frankly, it's a piece of legislation that I didn't think was going to be necessary because I thought CPC would do this voluntarily. But since that isn't the case, then we need to take action. As everybody knows, during normal times, there are neighborhood participation meetings that allow not only the developer or an applicant to tell about what their project is, but more importantly, to be in a room together so neighbors and other stakeholders can express whatever their concerns can be. And that allows for an open and back and forth communication. Of course, we all know during COVID that we were shut down and that we shouldn't be in rooms together. But really, all of us have pivoted since then to either do telephone meetings or Zoom meeting like we're doing right now. Yet for reasons that cannot be explained to me in good detail or really within the bounds of reason, we are still not requiring MPP meetings, even though projects are going forward. It just is bad policy and doesn't allow for thoughtful engagement. I wish that I could change this unilaterally. I know that it has to go through a process, and I think neighbors are concerned that we're studying something and delaying it therefore, but this is the only way to move it forward. The motion just asks, can we use teleconferencing, virtual, or other remote means to allow people to meaningfully participate in MPP meetings? Almost everybody has access to a telephone or a telephone line. It doesn't require transportation. And frankly, it makes it easier for people to meet because they don't have to leave their own house or where they are to make it happen. These changes will lead to more engagement, transparency, and neighborhood collaboration. So with that, I move for approval. May I have a second? And then obviously in the comments, second by Councilmember Banks. Yes, Councilmember Moreno.
Yeah, Councilmember Drew, so I just really want to thank you for moving forward with this and taking this additional step from the council. I can tell you back in September of 2020, I sent Mr. Rivers a letter explaining that one of these types of changes made with city planning, and nothing has happened. So I really believe that this additional step through this motion of yours is necessary. And, the more that we can engage the public and the easier that we can make it for people to engage and learn about specific projects in their area, in their neighborhoods, that overall, that communities will be built. So I just really thank you for moving with this, Councilmember Druso, and already a co-author of this. Just thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Anybody else? Councilmember Banks.
I am also going to echo appreciation and thanks. Obviously, as someone who has to deal with zoning issues on a regular basis, it is imperative that we have public input. It's imperative that the people who are going to be impacted by whatever proposed changes are being talked about have the opportunity to hear their voices heard. So I am excited about this. I think the more access we give our citizens to be able to interface with the developers or the property owners or whoever's proposing to alter their neighborhoods, I think the better off we are. So I'm happy to join with you, and hopefully we can continue broadening the scope to allow for all of the people that are going to be impacted to be able to have their voices heard. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Banks. Anybody else?
Just to say, Councilmember Jeruso, thank you as well. I join with the rest of my colleagues. This gives, added teeth to the community engagement process whereby the applicant cannot, further skirt the process on the front end to disengage from the public, because this is where they are most informed about what is proposed to happen in their neighborhood. And too many times, I think the district council members would agree, is that we would receive MPPs that come back and you see barely any of attendance when an attempt to hold one at a particular location. So thank you again for doing this.
Thank you, Councilmember Brissett. Councilmember Nguyen.
Yeah, Councilmember Jeruso, yeah, thank you for doing this, but I don't know if you guys noticed, I was a little bit confused because I was like, well, I thought MPP meeting was still taking place. Because I know we've hosted a series of MPP meetings during COVID time. So we still have that requirement for our developers to hold virtual meeting. But I'm glad that we're now putting it into the legal process. So, but yeah, so that's why I was a little bit confused. But thank you for initiating the study.
Thank you, Councilmember Nguyen. Do we have any public comment on this?
Yes, Councilmember, we have two. The first is from M. Forrest. I seek to, in essence, support this motion, but I also believe it falls short of what must be done. The CPC has failed to take the initiative to actively seek other means readily available to the public, even during the pandemic, to comply with the public hearing requirement as set forth in the law. To allow them to, quote, study the matter does nothing but allow them more wasted time to remain in non-compliance with the laws in place. This council, although it must ask the CPC to improve its performance officially, it falls severely short in requiring the CPC to do its job and find alternate means to hold the public hearing requirements portion of the laws in place. Need I remind everyone? Timeliness, transparency, follow the law. As a result of the CPC failure to take action, developers and other unethical players have managed to push through their agendas without public comment. And both those players and the CPC are breaking the intent of the law to protect the citizens of New Orleans. So who will protect the citizens of New Orleans? Further, the NPP has failed for most of the year in notifying neighbors of activity in their areas, despite being signed up for notifications. It has only been in the last few weeks that we are again getting some of the notifications. Both of these requirements must be enforced and not open-ended. There needs to be a concrete date by which both must be held accountable. Lastly, there must be sufficient time allowed for people to adjust their calendars. Currently, a 24-hour notice has been in effect. We must have a full week between notice and the meeting. Thank you. Thomas Long. Please pass this ordinance to afford residents and stakeholders reasonable opportunity to express opinions on proposed projects that will impact neighborhoods. Currently, a proposed project on the new basic canal is gathering NPP input to their own website, which defeats the purpose of public comment and scrutiny. The developer should be required to conduct a proper NPP hearing, even if virtual, that allows nearby residents and stakeholders the opportunity to express their viewpoints without filtering through the developers themselves. Those are all the comments on today's agenda.
Councilmember, you're on mute.
I swore I wouldn't do that again. Thank you for helping me out. I just wanted to say thank you again to all of my colleagues and for all of their support, and the fact that we're all standing shoulder to shoulder on this. And I think, Councilmember Glapion, am I correct that you want to add yourself to the motion as well?
Yes, please.
All the council member names is on your motion, council
Okay,
member.
great, great. Just wanted to make sure that we had a full vote. Thank you so much. All right, I will move for approval.
No, I need to add her. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Just let me vote this time. That's all I ask for.
Okay.
Thank you. I will move for approval. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Council President. Madam Clerk.
No, it was seconded by Councilmember Banks. You had did that earlier.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
But if you don't want me, I mean, I'll get out the way.
Councilmember Nguyen.
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette.
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion.
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer.
Yay.
Councilmember Banks.
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno, I'm sorry.
Yay.
Councilmember Druso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and your motion has been adopted.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Council members, we need to suspend the rules to go to ordinances on first reading.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Seconded, I believe that was the Council Vice President, Madam Clerk.
Okay. Councilmember Nguyen.
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette.
Yes.
Councilmember Glapion.
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno.
Yay.
Councilmember Gisselson Palmer.
Yay.
Councilmember Banks.
Yay.
Councilmember Druso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and the rules have been suspended.
Hello, council members.
Hello.
I can't see me because I have technical difficulties, but I'm going to read my first order. Okay, ordinance calendar number 33,271 by Councilmember Banks. An ordinance to establish a conditional use to permit a primary educational facility in an HURD2 historic urban two-family residential district on square 204, lots 22, 23, 24, and 25 in the 6th municipal district bounded by Constant Street, Marlin Street, General Pershing Street, and Magazine Street. Municipal address 4219 Constant Street and otherwise to provide respect thereto, zoning docket number 721. Ordinance calendar number 33,272 by Councilmember Nguyen by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of New Orleans and Sankofa Community Development Corporation, Sankofa, for a term greater than 1 year for the public purpose of completing and maintaining a green infrastructure project to be located on the following described property belonging to the city. A portion of ground measuring approximately 40 acres in the 3rd municipal district, which ground is bounded by Florida Avenue, DeBrell Street, the Southern Railroad, and Tennessee Street, which lies more or less between the curb of Florida Avenue right-of-way and the railroad right-of-way adjacent to squares 1443 through 1459, as more fully detailed in the cooperative endeavor agreement attached here to as Exhibit A and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 33,273 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal grant funds for intergovernmental transfers to the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice Coordination for the FY 2020 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Fund, CESF, and the FY 2020 Justice Assistance Grant, JAG, grant programs and otherwise to provide respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 33,274 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal grant funds for intergovernmental transfers to the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice Coordination for the FY 2020 Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Fund, CESF, and the FY 2020 Justice Assistance Grant, JAG grant programs, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,275 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 20,550 MTS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing a budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal and state grant funds to the Office of Homeland Security to assist public safety personnel with exercises and training to enhance preparedness for responses to emergencies and disasters, along with administrative equipment and supply costs and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,276 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing a budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate federal and state grant funds to the Office of Homeland Security to assist public safety personnel with exercises and training to enhance preparedness for responses to emergencies and disasters, along with administrative equipment and supply costs and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,277 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate state grant funds to the Office of Homeland Security for the FY 2020 State Homeland Security Program for training and equipment for public safety personnel in relation to disasters and emergencies and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,278 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate state grant funds to the Office of Homeland Security from the FY 2020 State Homeland Security Program for training and equipment for public safety personnel in relation to disasters and emergencies and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,279 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing a budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate private grant funds from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation from intergovernmental transfers to the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice Coordination for the Safety and Justice Challenge Grant Program and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,280 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,551 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate private grant funds from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation from intergovernmental transfers to the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice Coordination for the Safety and Justice Challenge Grant Program and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,281 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,550 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of revenues for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate special revenue and trust funds for intergovernmental transfers to the Coroner's Office, Department of Public Works, Department of Police, New Orleans Recreation Development Commission, Department of Property Management, and the Boucaré Commission to provide funding for non-personnel related expenditures such as supplies, equipment, and other related items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,282 by Councilmember Brissette by request. An ordinance to amend ordinance number 28,051 MCS as amended, entitled an ordinance providing an operating budget of expenditures for the city of New Orleans for the year 2021 to appropriate special revenue and trust funds from intergovernmental transfers to the Coroner's Office, Department of Public Works, Department of Police, New Orleans Recreation Development Commission, Department of Property Management, and the Boucaré Commission to provide funding for non-personnel related expenditures such as supplies, equipment, and other related items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Ordinance Council number 33,283 by Councilmember Banks by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement between the city of New Orleans and the state of Louisiana Office of Facility Planning and Control related to allowing and facilitating the rehabilitation of the old New Orleans VA building as more fully detailed in the cooperative endeavor agreement attached hereto as Exhibit A, and otherwise to provide respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 33,284 by Councilmember Gibson Palmer by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into an agreement to grant a servitude to an adjacent property owner for encroachments on over portions of public right-of-way located at the municipal address 600 Maison Street, to fix the minimum price in terms of said servitude agreement, to declare that such use as granted in the servitude agreement will incorporate space that is neither needed for public purposes, nor shall such use interfere with the use of the public right-of-way. To set forth the reasons for said servitude agreement and otherwise to provide respect thereto. Ordinance calendar number 33,285 by Councilmember Banks by request. An ordinance to authorize the mayor of the city of New Orleans to enter into the First Amendment to the lease of land by the city of New Orleans, Ike and Tina LLC, DBA, zoning mass beer project, zoning mass, for the following described property belonging to the city. A portion of ground located in the First Municipal District, square 482-A, which bears the municipal address of 1400 South Broad Street, New Orleans, Louisiana, as more fully described in detail herein, to fix the terms of said lease to be used to operate the business zoning mash, to reaffirm that such property to be leased is not needed for public purposes during the lease term, and to set forth the reasons for said First Amendment to the lease of land, which is attached and shall be a part of this ordinance, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that completes all the ordinances on first reading.
Thank you so much, Ms. Temple. Appreciate it.
You're
All right. Looks like that completes our agenda. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, I'll move. Sure. I'll move and since that's process. Madam Clerk, if you call the roll for us.
Councilmember Wynn,
Yay.
Councilmember Brissette,
Yay.
Councilmember Glapion,
Yay.
Councilmember Moreno,
Okay.
Councilmember Gibson Palmer,
Yay.
Councilmember Banks,
Yay.
Councilmember Jeruso.
Yay.
We have 7 yeas, no nays, and the meeting has been adjourned.
Okay. Thank you, council members. See you soon.
Thank y'all. Everybody get a shot and wear your mask.
Thank you.